Okay, we'll start today's course and we will talk about the contemporary views of leadership. It's very good. And also, I explained for you before this session, also at the beginning of this session, that you have a very specific course about the leadership skills and leadership styles and other objects and subjects related to the leadership in your bachelor degree course, bachelor degree program. But now in the organizational behavior and theory, again, we will point some of the important aspects of leadership to you. At the end of this part, we want you to know, identify and describe contemporary situational theories of leadership, discuss leadership through the eyes of the followers, it's very important, and identify and describe alternatives to leadership, describe the changing nature of leadership and emerging leadership issues, and that's all. Very important. Contemporary situational theories. Before that, we talk about the theories about leadership. One of the theories, one of the aspects to the leadership was that leadership is an inheritantal and genetic and mother-born or natural-born aspect of human beings. If you have or you don't have the traits necessary for leadership. Also, in some aspects, it is true that you should have some basic talents about the leadership skills and leadership mindset. But honestly, everybody knows that you can train for leadership, and also the duty and the responsibility of the academy and of the universities in management and in leadership and in organizational courses like this course, Bachelor of Degree in Management and Business. Some part of our duties and our responsibilities and our jobs and our tasks is to train people to be a leader, to train people to think like a leader, and to train people to lead other people and other objects and subjects like organization. So, another part of the leadership, I love it. I love this discussion because it is very, very important for everybody that nature is absolutely true, but it's not mandatory. Genetic is not mandatory. Genetic is not it's your history, your family history. It is your long-term and archetypal history, but genetic is not mandatory, your destiny. The point of change, the changing point, the turning point of your life is your attitude to everything and your act based upon your attitude. So situational theories, new situational have evolved from LPC theory, path, goal theory, and decision tree model. The leader-member exchange model and the Hersey and Blanchard model and the attributions of leadership and versions of the original models. In situational theories, one point is that you should know about the different aspects and different views to the leadership. Taylor, welcome to our class. And the leader-member exchange model, or it is it is coined by Ground and Densorio, and suggests a leader from a unique independent relationship with each of their subordinates. What does it mean? Suggests that leaders form unique independent relationship with each of their subordinates. It is one by one, face by face. One leader, a lot of subordinates, but unique and independent relationship between a leader and each of the subordinates, not as a total, as a persons, but during these relationships, during these unique relationships between the leaders and between the subordinates, gradually shapes some types of intimate and organizational intimate relationship. What does it mean? It means that when you give your subordinates in an organization a sense of importance, each of them, not as a group, not as a department, not as a team, when you give your subordinates, your co-workers, your employees, that you are important for our company, for our organization, you will create a sense of belongingness in them, to your company, to your organization, to to your department and other parts that you are leading or managing. So in this model, we assume that you will have some types of independent relationship with each of your subordinates. And each superior subordinate pair is a term, vertical dyad, not horizontal, vertical dyad. And supervisors establish a close working relationship with a small number of trusted subordinates referred to as the in-group. Please pay attention to the word vertical dyad and in-group persons, in-group co-workers, in-group employees. And some ordinates who are not a part of the in-group are called the out-group, and they receive less of the supervisor's time and attention. With us or against us? With us, not necessarily against us, without us, out of our categorization, out of our group. So keywords are here: vertical dyad, in-group members, and out-group members. The leader-member exchange LMX model. The LMX suggests that the leaders form unique, independent relationship with each of their subordinates. Okay, as illustration, you can see the terminology in the form and in the graph that you are looking at. The next theory is the Hersey and Blanchard model. Kenneth Blanchard is one of the greatest theoreticians in leadership and in management. Also, one of his greatest books in corporation. He has a co-author with Spencer Johnson, and it is 1 Minute Management. It's very, very simple, but very, very basic and conceptual book about the meaning of leadership, meaning of management. Suggests that appropriate leader behavior depends on the readiness of the follower. You should know about the strategy. What is a strategy? There are different definitions for a strategy. But totally, if you want to find a common sense and a common point and common view in every different definition of a strategy, you should know that a strategy is always future-oriented, and also leadership is also always future-oriented. So we can say strategic management, but honestly, we cannot say strategic leadership. But because in the nature of leadership is future orientation, and you cannot be a leader, but not be a you cannot be a leader and not be a, for example, a strategic leader. Everyone who is a leader, take a minute, sorry. That's good. Okay. Everyone who is a leader, he or she should be strategic people, strategic thinking. Why? Because the nature of leadership is based upon the future. So sometimes you should know that in a strategy, we have two parts. One, concepts, one, actions. Actions, sometimes it is called tactics, the procedures, the methods that you use to achieve your dreams, your goals, your private or your organizational goals or targets. So it is very important that your behavior as a leader is a reaction to the readiness of your followers. The people who follow you have a different levels of readiness to level of following you, to level of obeying the orders, to level the acting the orders and acting the manuals, for example. Follower readiness, subordinates degree of motivation, competence, experience, and interest in accepting responsibility. We have a very, very good definition for follower readiness. Subordinates degree of motivation, competence, experience, and interest in accepting responsibility. How much are you ready to accept your responsibility in a group, in a team, in a department? Your accountability level, your accountability readiness improves. The leader's relationship style should change from telling to selling, to participation to delegating. Why the leader's task behavior should diminish over time. Based upon the followers, co-workers, employees' readiness to accept the responsibility with this definition that we gave to you about the readiness. What is the meaning of follower readiness? Gradually in the time, you should delegate the responsibility to the followers. And you can see the graph here about the relationship between the follower readiness and amount of behavior. As the follower readiness is high, is moderate, in the middle, and amount of behavior is the best and the maximum rate. Leadership through the eyes of followers. Approaches to leadership: transformational leadership, charismatic leadership, and attributions of leadership. Talk about it before that. Alternative leadership and transformational leadership, the set of abilities that allows the leader to recognize the need for change, to create a vision, to guide the change, and to execute the change effectively. We want to talk about the leadership and transformation. Transformation in psychology, in management, in daily life, in coaching, is a very, very profound, very, very deep word we use. Why? Because it indicates that the form of something is transferred from one stage to another stage. What is the difference between the stages? It is about quality, not quantity. When you say transformational leadership, the set of abilities that allows the leader to recognize the need for change, to create a vision to guide that change, and to execute the change effectively. Needing, guiding, execution. But charismatic leadership, charisma is a personal characteristic of the leader, which inspires support and acceptance. Leadership is based on leaders' personal charisma. It is charismatic leadership. What is the good point of charismatic leadership? The good point of that charismatic leadership is that in charismatic leadership, you will have very, very, very profound effect on your followers. Why? Because you have a charismatic personality, charismatic manner of life, manner of behaviors, manner of influencing other peoples. But the bad point, the weak point of charismatic leadership is that when the charismatic leader is deleted, died or other things, and retired and everything that can delete it at charismatic leader, after that the leadership style will destroy. Why? Because the leadership style was based upon the leader character, leader charismatic character. And attribution perspectives of leadership holds that when behaviors are observed in a context associated with leadership, others may attribute varying level of leadership ability or power to the person displaying those behaviors. Holds that when behaviors are observed in a context associated with leadership, everything has a context. As you know, we have 3 parts for analysis in everything. At least in human being, we have three parts. One, content. Two, form. And three, context. Context is not the background. Context is the concepts which are hidden. It is not very, very clear to see in the life, in an organization, in a relationship, in a family, and other. It is context. What's very important. Why? In contrast to the context or harmonization to the context, you can receive a good or bad relationship. You can receive a good or bad results. Okay? The leaders as followers see the team. Why? Because we can see the context. We can see the background, conceptual background of the behavior of leader. Charismatic leader, envisioning, energizing, enabling. It's very, very important, very, very important that a charismatic leader should have three abilities, should have three traits: envisioning the goals, energizing the followers, and enabling. After that, at the final goal, they should have some empowerment, enforcement, enabling followers to do something for extra functions and extra results. And alternatives to leadership. Leadership substitutes and leadership neutralizers. Substitutes and neutralizers for leadership: individual, job, group, organization. For example, substitutes and neutralizer for leadership in individual level, we have individual professionalism, motivation, experience and training, and indifference to rewards. And in group, it is group norms or group cohesiveness. In job structure, and automated job, highly controlled job, in strictly satisfying job, and embedded feedback. And in organization, we have rigid procedures and rules. Please take care. The word rigid in a company, in a management style, in a leadership style, is very, very hazardous word. Why? Because the nature of organization is a live being. Organization is not a rigid being, and live beings, all live beings, human beings, animal beings, and real world, and also organizations and companies should have some characteristic to be live. First, movement. Second, color and shaping and contrast with the environment around them. And all of these characteristics are gathered in one word: flexibility. A live being is a flexible. So if you are looking at an organization as a live being, you should know that an organization should be flexible. Organization cannot be rigid. If it is rigid, it is fragile. And we will talk about the resilience and fragile in organization. The changing nature of leadership. One of the basic concepts that we are talking about, why we are talking about, because it is very popular now in organization, that we have three grades, three types of influencers and boss in an organization. One, managers. Two, leaders. And three, coaches or mentors. Coaches and mentors today are very, very basic and important part of leadership and management in every aspect of life. You know that in every aspect of life, we have coaches. We have food coaches, personal trainers, or body language or bodybuilding coaches, sport coaches, and executive coaches, and corporative coaches, life coaches. Even yesterday, I see someone was meditation coaches, everything. Someone who has a very good, sometimes non-academic, but experiential, personal experiences. Yes, it's very personal, experiential knowledge and skills, and can guide one by one the major difference, the basic and initial differences between coaches and, for example, therapists and counselors and leaders sometimes is that coach is fired and sometimes is hired. At first it is hired, and after that, if it is not efficient for the organization, coach will be fired. So you should know that coaches are very important in an organization. New role, leader as mentor. It's very important. Why? Because today in the leadership theories, we know that the leaders should guide personnel, guide staffs, guide employees of the organization, of the group, of the team, of the departments. Why one? One by one, one by one. It is a group, yes, I know. But in a group is organized from different personnel, different persons with different personalities, with different characters, with different back life history, past life history. So we should guide them one by one, one by one. This procedure of guiding one by one, based upon the strengths, based upon the abilities, based upon the weak points, based upon the power points of each of them, is the process of coaching, is the process of mentorship. So also very different, very little and very, very, very small differences between the conceptual definitions of mentorship and coaching, I know. But totally it is called coaching or mentorship, as you know. And sometimes the new role of leaders are mentoring, helps select team members and other new employees. Help select team members and other new employees. Some person from the previous team and some persons, some employees from the new employees to mentor. Provide general direction, totally. And after that helps train or develop the team and member skills. Help acquire information and resources. And help resolve conflict and mediate disputes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In doing your role as a mentor, when you are a leader, when you are a manager, in doing your role, in performing your role as a mentor, you should pass 5 steps on 5 stages. Stage 1, select team members. 2, general direction. 3, training. 4, information, feedback. And 5, conflict resolution and mediate disputes. And after that, the negotiation process, negotiation management. The changing nature of leadership, it is gender and leadership. It is very, very basic questions about the gender-based differences, about the race-based differences, about the ethnicity-based differences in leadership. Is there any, for example, female style leadership, female style of management, female style of mentorship, female style of coaching, or male leadership style, male managerial style? We have a lot of gender-based style. For example, we know that in family, in love relationships, we have very, very different love styles between men and women. It's basically approved by the evidence-based research in psychology and also family and family consultation science. Is there any such thing in leadership? For example, gender differences between the male leaders and female leaders in leadership style or leadership tactics or leadership strategies. We have a lot of stereotypes. Stereotypes are the repeatable and not approved thinking models, thinking styles in people. Stereotype styles no longer valid. Women tend to be more democratic decision makers, men more autocratic. And women may have stronger interpersonal skills. Women may confront more opposition and therefore involve others in decision making to reduce conflict. And cross-cultural leadership. So, for example, we know that in gender-based differences between men and women, we know that women in leadership are solving the problems, are solving the conflicts that a little softer, a little smooth, more smoother than the men. And cross-cultural leadership, cross-cultural, when you say about the cross-cultural, everything is cross-cultural. Cross-cultural is something that is shared over the culture. It is not specific to one culture. For example, when you are talking about the cross-cultural neurology, it is the component that is shared, that is equal in different races, different countries, different nations. Okay, for example, that part, that brain map is the same. It is cross-cultural neurology, cross-cultural psychology, cross-cultural leadership skills. Culture encompasses both international differences and diversity-based differences within one culture. International differences and diversity-based differences. For example, some nations, some countries has a lot of, for example, India or even America. There are a lot of races and ethnicities here in America, different. For example, in my country, Iran, there are different. In India, there are different. But it is one country, it is one nation, different races, different ethnicities in one country. It's very important to be unified together in a leadership style. Is it possible or only theoretical? Is it practical? A medial average and a medial average of leadership styles, yes. Why? Because every country, for example, in America, the president of America should determine the overall principles of government as a federal, not as a state. It is not a state government, it is the federal government, okay? These are the total, this is the perspective for all the states. Why? Because they are different states with different laws, but the name of the country is United States. Together, they work together as a whole, as a system. So, international difference and diversity-based differences are very important in leadership. And finally, is there any absolutely fixed and persistent leadership styles for all the country, all the leaders? No, it is very, very important to consider the diversity and international differences in every type of leadership. We have a project, it is Project GLOB, International Leadership Behaviors, charismatic or value-based leadership. Charismatic leadership is very important for a new job, for a startup. Why? When you want to produce, when you want to make a structure, new structure for a job, it's very important to have the ability to manage and to create sometimes. Startup is not about doing something in a new way. Sometimes startup is something about doing new things, not doing the previous thing, the old things in the new way. Also, that is a startup again. But the basic, for example, part of a startup thinking is about doing something new, or sometimes doing the old things in some new ways or new procedures. In this part, charismatic is very important. A charismatic leader can create a very good foundation for a startup, for a company, new organization, new business. And it is the value-based leadership. What's the meaning of value-based leadership? The value-based leadership is some type of leadership that can go forward to their values, predefined values. Before any movement, you should have some values and standards for your job, for your family, for your society. And charismatic leadership is very important and very effective here. And participative leadership, together, participation, autonomous leadership, self-protective leadership, human-oriented leadership, and team-oriented leadership. These are the international leadership behaviors. All the countries, all the nations, all the organization can have these 6 types of leadership behaviors: charismatic leadership, participative leadership, autonomous leadership, self-protective leadership, human-oriented leadership, and team-oriented leadership that you should know. For example, there is a basic difference and very, very cut-off point between the team-oriented leadership and human-oriented leadership. In human-oriented leadership, person by one is important for the leader, for the manager, for the chef, for the boss. But in team-oriented, the total gathering of persons, not only every single person, all the team members together as a unique organization, so-called team, is important for the leader. And emerging issues in leadership issues are strategic leadership, ethical leadership, and virtual leadership. I love this word because today, in every aspect of human life, we can hear the voice of the word virtual. Everything, it can be virtual, but I don't know that virtual is the same thing as real. Sometimes relationship in virtual world is very, very much popular than, for example, real world. Just now, here we are talking together, and I am teaching something you about the leadership and organizational theories and organizational behaviors. It is virtual, but very easy and very effective. You are here, I am here, and we are gathering information and give and take the information to each other. Strategic leadership requires that leader be capable of 1, understanding the complexities of both the organization and its environment. It is interactive. Organization doesn't live in desert. It is a very, very, very natural human environment, giving and taking, giving and taking. So if you want to know where the organization want to go for the future, for the other times after today, after this year, it is the vision, and after that you should have some mission about your vision. You should know what your organization is and what the environment is, and leading the change in the organization to achieve and maintain a superior alignment between the organization and its environment. Alignment is very important. At first, knowledge; second, alignment. And managerial requirements, encompassing understanding of the organization, firm grasp of the organization's environment, and awareness of firm's alignment with the organization, with the environment. Ability to improve the alignment. Again, we are talking about the differences between leaders and managers. As you see in this chapter and this discussion, that the leaders want to go to the future, the perspective, the vision. And after creating the requirements for this movement to the future, keeping and maintaining these requirements, these situations that move forward to the future goals, it's the task of manager, with grasp and awareness of firm's alignment and other things. Why ethical leadership is essential? I know that in modern age of human thinking and human technology and human life, in the modern age, especially in the second part of 20th century, ethics at one aspect is very important in textbooks, in philosophy of life, in philosophy of job, in philosophy of organizations, and in the practical field. Ethics is very important. But sometimes I hear that some leaders and some management doesn't believe to ethics. They think that only the result is important at every price. So it is not ethical. And because of that, we ask the question, why ethical leadership is essential? Increasing pressure of high ethical standards for leadership positions. 2, increasing pressure to hold leaders accountable for their actions. Increasing environmental pressure for stronger corporate governance models. So if you want to talk about the ethics in an organization, 2 parts is about the leaders. Standards of leadership and standards accountability. And 1 part is for the external parts of an organization, stronger corporate governance models with the environment and the organization. As you know that when you're talking about the strategic leadership, 1 basic approach, 1 basic ability and a strategic leader should have is that to know, to have some good acknowledgement about the organization, about its environment, and try to have some good alignments between the organization and its environment. So one of the basic parts that every leader should have about this alignment is the ethical issues. Why? Because if you don't have any ethical issues, you cannot be a good leader. Again, why? Because ethical issues at the basic parts guarantee the safety of the alignment, guarantee the safety of the community, the safety of the society, the safety of the organization. It is not even about morality. It is about the guarantee, the safety. It is about the protection and good protection and safe protection, about the foundation of organization, foundation of a corporation, foundation of for example, a team even a team. Ethics is the parts that guarantee the rigidity of the foundations of the alignment between an organization and, for example, its environment. In every type of relationships, every type of alignments, every type of relationship between 2 live beings, which is related to the human, for example, in love relationship, family relationship, corporate relationship, business relationship, political relationship, in every type of relationship between at least 2 human beings, 2 human components, we need ethical issues. Why? Because to guarantee the protection of the healthy foundation, of the healthy roots of relationship. If you want to guarantee the consistency of relationship, you should consider ethical issues in that relationship, which ethical issues in philosophical level are very common for every human relationship. But in practical level, it should design to every specific relationship. It is not, for example, it is not good that you use the ethical issues in details and in practice from organizational context to family context. There are 2 different contexts. Total principles are the same, but the detailed principles are so different. These are not the same. Why? Because you have a different atmosphere to management and to lead in an organization, in contrast with your family, for example, in contrast with your friendship relationship, in contrast with your social relationship, race relationship, and every type of relationship which are related to human beings. Virtual leadership challenges. Changes in leadership and mentoring as in-person contact replaces virtual contact. Virtuality and virtual reality has a very, very, very huge potential for giving and taking in every type of relationship. Very, very huge. Why? Because basically, no matter what type of relationship you want to have with your coworkers, with your employees, with your spouse, with your child, with your kids, with your siblings, and out of your family, out of your community, international relationships. When you want to be one by one in person, it's very hard and time wasting. And also physical necessities, physical requirements. As you know, for example, these days in coronavirus crisis, a lot of companies has switched their responsibility from the physical location to the home location of the employees. And after these coronavirus crisis, we will have a new approved style of leadership. Why? The company sees that so good. They can be at their home, and we need a leader, a very, very small physical companies, for example, physical requirements. It's very good. And it's approved? Yes, it is approved. That they can be at home and do their job at home and receiving their salary and take profit for company and giving the service to the other people. Let's nonverbal communication. Nonverbal communication, for example, you know that in in-person communications, in in-person relationship, you have a lot of misunderstanding about the body language. Body language is a nonverbal communication and never lies. Body language never lies. But when in a virtual, yes, reducing the misunderstanding of body language, signs of body language, words, body language-based conflicts is very important because in a different positions, people say that, no, I know that his language is something, is saying something different to me. It is not the same, for example, he or she is saying with his words. His body shows me, no, it's different. So in virtual relationship, in virtual leadership, the level of body language-based misunderstanding and conflict will reduce to the minimum level. And at a managerial level, at a leadership level, it is very good for a leader to reduce and diminish the conflictual level to the minimum possible level. An increasing importance of an email role in conveying appreciation, reinforcement, and constructive feedback. For example, you know that in life coaching, we have a good approach to life coaching that you can do your life coaching at home. Life coaching basically is a home base and office home base job. It is not, for example, it doesn't need a great physical location for your life coaching. Why? Because you have your email, your sites, your interpersonal and virtual relationship with the coaches. And face-to-face leadership skills become critical as opportunity decrease for direct contact. Any question about this or not? Okay. Have a break for 15 minutes, and after that, I will get back to continue the course. Thank you. Hello, everybody, again, and we'll talk about the second part of this session. It is about power, influence, and politics. And as you know, power is a very, very important subject in every type of leadership and management, because struggle and power, especially power, is the very intertwined together. Any type of fighting, any type of achievement, even any type of going forward to your goals, needs, and sometimes it's based upon to power gaining and power holding. So in different chapters and different aspects of management and leaders, textbooks, psychological textbooks, sociology textbook, we have a very specific discussion about topic. Now in organizational behaviors and in leadership topics, we want to talk about the power and the influence and the differences between power and influence, and what is the role of power in politics, and what is the relationship between politics, political power, and leadership management, leadership style or management style. And after ending this chapter, you should know, identify and describe different kinds of position and personal power, and discuss how individual and group obtain and use power. Discuss influence and describe which influence tactics are the most and least effective, and describe some of the factors that influence political behavior in organizations and their role of impression management in power and influence. Power in organizations. The nature of power. We have two phrases, the nature of power and the power of nature. As you know, and if you indicate and observe the nature, organizational nature, company nature, team nature, every organized and administrated group, you can see the role of power in the basis of organization, or organizing every gathering of people, every gathering of some elements that want to have a shared goal and a shared meaning. The power is the basis. Why? Because power is the source of enforcement you, the source of motivate you to forward goals and to the next steps of your life, of your organization life, of your group life, and other parts of your life and goals. So when we are talking about the nature of power, we want to talk about the different elements that which are engaged in power. For example, power is the potential ability of a person or group to exercise control over another person group. What are the keywords? Power is the potential ability of a person or group to exercise control over another person or group. One, power is a potential. What type of potential? Power is the potential ability. So power is the ability. Is it mean that we can gain power? Yes. We can lose power? Yes. We can practice to be powerful or power holder? Yes. But the major and the main core of every definition, every single definition of power is based on the control. What is the symbol of power in the external world? Control. Every place, every time you see that someone or some group or some organization, some government, some nations have power, what does it mean? It means that they have control over another country, another organization, another market, another personal group. So the keyword in power is control. Types or bases of power: legitimate power, reward power, coercive power, and expert power. I love it. And informational power, and referent power, and persuasive power. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. We have 7 types or 7 bases of power. For example, information can be a source of power. Yes. To be an expert, to have a professional knowledge as an expert can be a source of power. Yes. What is legitimate power? Power due to position of authority held. What does it mean? It means that if you are a boss, if you are a manager, if you are an owner, your position gives you some types of power. It is legitimate power. Why you have power? Because of your legitimation. And other part is reward power. Power due to control over rewards. When or where you have power because you have control over rewards. You can give the rewards to other people or not to give them. So you have the power to control their behavior, their situations, their thinking, their feeling, their actions by rewarding or not rewarding. So you own the rewards. The rewards are on your control. So you can give or not to give the rewards. You can control or not to control other people. Coercive power, power to control over punishment. It's the opposite of power, opposite of reward is punishment. There is a circuit, neural circuit in brain. It is called reward and punishment circuit. Every type of human action, basically every type of actions of mammals in the nature, for example, tigers, cats, dogs, and other mammals, and especially in human being, we have this circuit in brain. It is reward and punishment circuit. What does it mean? Every human action do everything for 2 main goals. 1, pleasure. 2, suffering. Approach to pleasure and avoid suffering. These are very, very basic motivational factors for every human action. Reward and punishment, suffering and pleasure. So with after looking at these 2 motivational factors, we can see that yes, we have reward power and coercive power, reward power and punishment power. In one type, power holder has the power to give you or not to give you the punishments. In other parts, to give you or not to give you the rewards. These 2 types of power and 2 types of power style. It is very important. For example, if you want to stop some negative behaviors, for example, some negative habitual behaviors like substance addiction. If you want to stop some behaviors, we need coercive power. Fear is a good motivator for stop the negative behaviors. Negative, for example, substance addiction, addictive behavior. But if you want to create a positive, new positive behavior, sorry, coercive power or punishment is not good. You cannot create a new positive behavior by fearing people that if you don't create a new positive behavior, you will have some punishment. It cannot be effective. You should have give them some rewards. So both type of leaderships are effective, but in different positions. Position of creation or position of destroying. You want to create a new positive behavior, or you want to reduce or diminish or even destroy a negative previous or present behavior. It is punishment, it is a reward, it is punishment. And expert power is about you, is about me, is about the president of the university. Why? Because you have the expert power, control because of knowledge, skills, and expertise. You are gaining some basic and some professional expert knowledge about something, for example, management, about psychology, about engineering, about medicine, and every type of professional knowledge. After that, you will have some power to control some aspects of your life, your society life, your economic life, and other parts of the world. Why? Because you are expert in very, very, very detailed knowledge. So today, before that we say knowledge is power, as you see. Today we say to be expert is a knowledge, a specific knowledge. Very, very specific knowledge is the power. Informational power, power to control over information. For example, you know that intelligence services, every type of intelligence services all around the world, in all the countries and all the governments, we have the power of information. Whose country, whose government, whose nation, which nation is more powerful? The nation with more powerful information, powerful gathering information, powerful systems and procedures to gathering information, data collection. And referent power, power due to control because subordinates respect, admire, and identify with their leader. It is about the co-workers and their leader, co-workers and their managers. And persuasive power, power due to ability to use logic and facts to persuade. It's very, very important. It's philosophical. Maybe everything can be a philosophical mind, can be a philosophical mind. But when you have some logic and some facts about something, and you can talk and discuss and sometimes argue with the facts, with your facts about something, you have a very good and very rigid foundation for your discussion. It is your power to overcome the extra discussions about that problem. Why? Because you have some good and approved facts. Power in organization, position versus personal power, charismatic power or organizational power. Position power resides in the position, regardless of who is filling that position. You see it in the organization that, for example, we have a managerial table. Managerial table is a table in the managerial office, that every manager comes to that organization, will go and sit at the back of the, for example, that table. It is managerial table. Yes, it's managerial table. It is position power. Yes, it is not related to your personality, to your character, your traits. It's related to your position in an organization. It is the position power. And after that is personal power, resides in the person, regardless of the position being filled. For example, personal power, honesty, mathematical abilities, musical abilities, interpersonal relationship abilities. It is not related to your position, it is related to your personality, and it is personal power. If you are a very simple coworker, or if you are, for example, general manager, CEO of an organization, okay, you have personal power to have a good interpersonal relationship with other people. Is it good? Yes, why not? It is personal power. It is not related to your positional, organizational position in the organization, in the society, and other things. What's the problem? The problems creates when some people with their leader personal powers, with their leader good traits for being a leader, become a leader because of their position in an organization, a society, and other parts of work and other parts of leadership and management. So you are not as a character for leadership, but you are a leader. So you will destroy the leadership. In leadership, it is very important. It is not basic. Leadership can be trained, but it's very important to have some types of characteristic and personal characteristic and personality traits for being a leader. If you are a leader only for your organizational position, it is very hazardous for you and for your organizations, because you don't have any good character for being a leader, but you have a position of leadership. You cannot lead yourself when you don't have any good leadership, personal leadership traits. You cannot lead yourself. Leadership is of the same areas that we say, if you are a leader, you should have a good self-leadership. If you are a good manager, you should have some good self-management. If you don't have any good, for example, self-control, you cannot control other people. By your anger is not a type of control. Anger is some suppression. Control is very goal-directed. This is something different between suppression or maybe sometimes a repression. Using power has some types: acquiring power and abusing power, or power abuse. Your power is greater if the things you control are important, rare, without substitute. Why? We always talk about that to be important, to be rare, and without substitute, about gold. Why gold is precious? Why? And why we call them precious metals, for example? Why? They are important? Yes, they're very important. They have a lot of important usage, a lot of important functions in industry, in economy. And they are very, for example, about gold, yes. One aspect to be precious for gold in to be rare. And without substitute, sometimes yes, sometimes no. These three factors give the power value, or value of to be powerful, to be precious to something. If something is important, if something is rare, and if something is without substitute. And abuse of power, the use of power to demean, exploit, or take advantage of someone. It is not use of power, it is power abuse, abuse of power. For example, if you use a drug, medication for some medical problems, and it is prescribed by a doctor, by a physician, it is not drug abuse, it is drug use, it's medication, it's good. So prescribed for you by an expert, by a doctor, by a physician. But if you use that drug, that medication, out of the prescription, with no basic scientific reason for your pain or for your body problem, for physical problem, sorry, it is not use, it is abuse. And it is not called medication, it is substance. And it is also about the power. So when you are talking about the power and use and disabuse, so when you are talking about the use and abuse of something, it's very important to know the indications of that things. I said to you an example of for example, medication. When it is called substance use or substance abuse, or power use or power abuse, and also corruption, and influencing someone to do something they later regret. Regression is very, very important in using the power. If you use power to control something or somebody, then after that, that person will have some regression. It is power abuse. It is not power use. Any question? Okay. One of the good topics in the subject of power, it is empowerment. What is the meaning of empowerment in an organization? It is that when we work with people as co-workers, as employees, and people who work together for a shared goal or for a shared meaning, during this process of co-working together, we should have some empowerment, and they should have some type of power for decision making, for implementation, for achievement, the personal and the organizational goals. Sharing power with employees and giving them the authority to make some decisions. Yes, you have some authority to make some decisions, and after that you are responsible. After that you are accountable for the authority you have, for the subject and object you have made some decisions. You should be accountable. You should be some responsible about that. If you are not accountable, if you are not responsible about that, okay, you don't have any, you haven't used your power so good. So empowerment is the transaction of power between the leaders and co-workers, between the leaders or managers and employees. We as leaders, we as managers give you some part and some level of power to have to make decision about the area you are working on. And after that, you have empowerment, yes. And is it good for you? It is good for, it is a win-win game. Good for you and also for us. But because of that, you will have some uh, decision makings. And because of the decision making, you are the responsible of the decisions. You should answer. Can improve quality, cut cost, and boost efficiency and flexibility. Very effective and very flexible. Why effective? Because, okay, it is a teamwork. Such a teamwork it is that only the leader, only the manager is the author, has the authority to make decisions. And flexibility, yes, because all the company, all the organization members and employees are engaged in decision making, not at the same level with the, for example, leader or manager in different levels of organizations and companies, but it is very flexible. Everybody's engaged and involved in decision making, in acting based upon the decisions, and more important than everything, in going something uh, beyond the only leader or only manager view to the organization. Some creativity will happen in organization. A good sample of empowerment is Toyota company. Toyota car company is the basic logic in Toyota car company is empowerment the employees, because in the management level, in the leadership level of Toyota company, they think that creativity is the basic part of the company. It has a competitive value for the company. If you cannot have some new things and new tools and new goods to the market, you will be destroyed after some years. And as you see, for example, Toyota has a very good reputation uh, among people for quality, for beauty, and for long-term services, good services. Because of why? Because a lot of people working with Toyota all around the world have a good empowerment in decision making at the level of their authority. Not, for example, if you are a mid-level manager, okay, You have some good empowerment, responsibility, and authority at the same level. And you should be responsible for your decision makings. But just giving employees power is not enough. They must be skilled and trained. In my country, there's a very good proverb about this issue that we say, if somebody is drunk and you give them some knife, it is very hazardous. Not about the knife. Knife is not always hazardous or not, is not always safe. It is related to the function you give to the knife. But if you are drunk, you are very, very hazardous and dangerous consumer of knife. It is not related to the knife. It is related to the someone who uses knife. So just giving employees power is not enough. They must be skilled and trained. If you want to be a manager, if you want to be a leader, if you want to if you want to have empowerment to to have some decision making at your area, you should be trained about the process of decision making, how to solve a problem, and professional knowledge about the decision making at that level of working, at that level of responsibility and authority. So empowerment is a very good and very new approach to, it is about, for example, 20 years, new approach to leadership in organizations. And how subunits gain power. Scarce resources magnify power differences across subunits. What does it mean? When you say scarce resources magnify power differences across subunits, it means that in different levels of a company, in different levels of an organization or a team, or even society, or even a family, we have scarce resources. Some resources are not at a large amount. They are very rare, very scarce resources, magnify power differences across subunits. It means that, we talked about it before, that it is rare, it gives you the power. If you have something which is rare, it gives to be rare, give you some degree of power to control other people. Why? Because it is not popular, and the same units that you have are very rare, and you can choose and use only them. So you have the power to use the rare resources, the scarce resources, magnify power differences across subunits. And certain centrality, the extent to which a subunit's activities influence the work of many other subunits. You see that when we go to the upper level of management, the quantity of people will reduce, but the quality and the importance of people will increase. Why? Because of centrality. So the group volume, the amount of people engaged in a group, is not so important. The function of the group, the responsibility of group, the role of group that they play in an organization is very more important than the amount of the group. For example, you can see a lot of simple workers in a company. Thanks, not too bad. Why? We cannot find any authority, any power for decision making between the, for example, simple workers. It's not good or bad. It is about the centrality. How the decision, how much the decision of one group, one team in an organization, a company, can affect, can influence other companies' activities, other companies', for example, decisions. It is centrality. The sense of to be centered in a company, and a function of centrality. Sometimes you think that you are central in a company, in your family, in your society, but in reality, you are not so important. You are not the central part of your company. You are not the central part of your, for example, family or society. But in real, sometimes, yes, you are central. It is not related to the amount of the company. It is related to the quality of your group and quality of your team. Sorry, we have some extra noises here and I want to delete them. Okay, after that, substitutability. The context to be a subunit's activities can be performed by others. Is there any substitute for the activity or not? And if there is a substitute for the activity, the extent to which one substitute, two substitute, for which function, for which group, and for which sense of importance of a group. Not important, sense of importance. Sense of importance in the sense is the imagine is the perceived importance that you have about your group, not the real importance. Sometimes, for example, in human beings, we have a feature that you think that you are very, very important. This is not called sense of importance, it's the excessive sense of importance. And the professional vocabulary is narcissistic personality. Narcissistic personality is someone with an excessive sense of importance. Okay? In organization is like that. Is there any substitute for your function, for your actions in a group, in a team, in an organization, in a company? Subunits most capable of dealing with uncertainty tend to have greater power. Today in coronavirus crisis, one of the psychological problems is ambiguity tolerance or uncertainty tolerance. What does it mean? A lot of fear that people are experiencing during the coronavirus crisis is about the misknowledge or disknowledge about the future. Sometimes they have some wrong knowledge about their future, and sometimes they don't have any knowledge about the future. The first one is misknowledge, misunderstanding, and the second one is disknowledge or misunderstanding, when you don't have any knowledge about something. It is ambiguous, and it is called ambiguity tolerance. The research fact shows that when someone or some company or a nation or an organization have the ability to tolerate the ambiguity and have a high ambiguity tolerance level, they can cope with the changes during the time so easily. Why? Because we don't have any specific and predetermined goal for achievement or standard for achievement. We can dance with the changes. It is very, very good. And also about uncertainty or certainty. As you know, uncertainty principle in quantum physics is very, very basic concepts in all areas of human being life. Why? Because uncertainty principle coined by, I think, I forgot the name of coiner of the uncertainty principle, Heisenberg. By Heisenberg, uncertainty principle by Heisenberg, coined by Heisenberg, is talking about that nothing is certain. Why? Because if you are an observer, for example, to an electron in the deepest part, in the inmost part of the atom, if you are looking at the electron, your observation can change the situation, the circumstances, the conditions of the electron. So the electron, when you are observing, is not the same electron when you are not observing it. It is uncertainty principle. Never, 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 nothing is certain, is not absolute. So if a company has a good situation, has a good perspective, has a good attitude to change, this company should have a good ability to dance with the uncertainty. Why? Because the world is always uncertain. It is predictable, but it is not certain. Prediction is about the extent to which we can say about the extent of certainty, not absolute certainty. For example, probability of 0 or probability of 100%, it's not certain probability, it is certainty. Okay. And influence tactics. 229 influence tactics. Why? Coalition tactics, engaging help of others to pursue someone. Consultation, requesting someone advice to solve a problem. Exchange, offering something valuable in return of cooperation. Ingratiation, flattering someone to put them in a good mood. Inspirational appeals, appealing to aspirations, values, and ideals to gain commitment. Legitimating tactics, enhancing one's family formal authority by referring to rules, precedents, or official documents. Personal appeals, in the context of inspirational appeal, asking for a personal favor to do something because we are friends, it's very good. And pressure, using coercion or persistent follow-up or reminders to gain influence. And rational persuasion, using logic and facts, persuade someone. Think about these different tactics for influence. Why? Not even in an organization, not even in a company, in your business, in your real life, you can use these topics and these tactics in, you can use them in real life, in ordinary daily life. And you can see some of them which are very easy and very popular. For example, using pressure is very, very, very common in interpersonal relationships to persuade someone. Using coercion or persistent follow-up or reminders to gain influence. Or using logic and facts, especially in logical reasoning, in logical discussions, are very popular. Everybody can use it. So one thing that you should pay attention is that when you want to look at your position, look at your discussional position, or look at your argument in your daily life or in your organization or company and other parts that you are distributing your power and distributing your talents to them for gaining some share meaning and share goals. At first, you should know about the tactics to influence other people. Even for romantic relationships, you should know the tactics about the influence other people. If you cannot influence other people, you are not a good leader. The basic part of leadership, not the final part, the basic component, the basic part of leadership is influence other people's. We cannot influence other people's, or such a leader are you, such a manager are you. No, you are not a leader, you are a manager. The influence tactics are the first training part of to be a leader. And how we can respond to influence attempts. Commitment, for example, in love, in organizations, in very, very family jobs, the first response to influence is commitment, endorsing and becoming an actively involved participant as a result of an influence attempt, actively participant. Why? Because if you are not active, you are passive in your relationship, in your participation, it is not commitment. It is, I am only here. And why you are here? I'm only here, for example, for doing something. If you want me to do something, I'm not committed to do the things on my own self. I am waiting for asking me something to do. So it is not commitment. Commitment is a very, very, very internal part of a person. And compliance going along with what the influence wants without being personally commitment. The next level is compliance. And passive resistance, rejecting the influence at them, but not getting in the way of what the influence is trying to do. I'm just not accepting, not rejecting, only I'm here, the same person that before you come here as an influencer, okay, I was here, I will be here at the same position. And active resistance, the first part, I accept without any question, it is commitment. The second part, I accept if you ask me, it is compliance. The third one, not rejecting, not accepting, I am passive. And the fourth one is, I am in opposition of you. I'm active resistance. I don't accept. Behind that, I will in oppositional situation to you. I am rejecting your question, you're asking, you're wanting your influence. I cannot accept your influence. Rejecting the influence attempt and actively trying to stop the influence from doing what she or he is trying to do or trying to change the influence attitude. This is like a fight. Formally, it's like a fight. When you have active resistance in companies, in organizations, in small organizations, active resistance is very popular, very regular. Because, for example, we have 4 to 10 employees. In greater companies, people doesn't have any courage to have active resistance. They have passive resistance. They are passive, okay. And after that, sometimes they have passive aggression. It is not resistance, it is passive aggression. Passive aggression is mean that you can hurt me and hurt other people and even hurt yourself, but you cannot, you don't show any activity. For example, if you have, you spread some gossip about somebody, you are active to kill, to terror, to hurt his personality, yes. In society, in the reputation, in their family, in their organization, it is passive aggression. It is not active aggression. I cannot see any bad behavior of you, but I can see you are postponing his or her job. You are postponing his or her, for example, request of you, or something bad behind you, saying something bad behind you, behind him or her or him. It's gossip. It is passive aggression. Like that, it is passive resistance. If you cannot actively engage with the request of influencer, yes, you are passive resistant. And sometimes you show your resistance. It is not passive. It is very, very active. It's a lot of harmful to yourself, to your company, to your organization, to your leadership style and other things. It's active. We can observe your activities, active aggression, active resistance, and sometimes active aggression also is called violence, active aggression. Politics and political behavior, the last part. Organizational politics. Everybody think about think about politics, we always think about the governmental politics. But as you know, politics has a general meaning about the tactics, strategies for the future, and also for the present moment. Politics says that how to reduce the cost of achievement. It is politics. For example, when sometimes we say, wow, he or she is like the politicians, it means that he think in a complicated way to achieve his or her goal. Why? Because he knows the relationship with the different components. he or she has a good systematic approach to the human behaviors, organizational behaviors, social behaviors, and other parts of human being nature. So politics and making policies and making behavior to arrange the efficiency of our behavior is a basic part of every type of intelligence. Sometimes you are intelligent, sometimes you are smart. To be smart is something more than to be intelligent. Smart is very, very deep thinker about a lot of things. When you are intelligent, you can have and find only the good questions about the present moments. Because of that, a lot of intelligent people are addicted people, or anger people, or frustrated people. Why? Because they can only find the questions, not the answers. If you can find the answers, you are not intelligent, you are smart. Smart is something more than to be intelligent. And if you can find the actions based upon your smart, you are clever. The operational part of to be a smart is to be clever. Clever has some types of operational orders based upon the answers she or he has found about the questions. And if you don't have any question, and if you don't have any answer, you are not intelligent, you are not smart, you are not clever. Everybody in this position is called stupid. Stupid has no question, no answer, no new way, and no new day. The same way, the same game. He or she is stupid. So politics and policies talk about the arrangement of behavior in an organization, interpersonal relationships, also in organizations, that can at first reduce the cost of achievement, and after that can improve and increase the benefits of the achievement. Social influence attempts directed at those who can provide reward that will help promote or protect the self-interest of the actor. Pervasiveness of political behavior. Fact of life in work organizations. Employees negatively affected by politics tend to perceive politics as a bad influence. It's a very popular thinking about politics. A lot of people think that politics is not a good thing. Why? Because it's very complicated. Why? Because it is not based upon the courage. Why? Because it is not based upon the self assertiveness and other, I think, garbage reasons for negative attitude to politics. Why garbage? Because you should put them out of your mind as a leader and as a manager. Politics is the indicator of your complication and complexity of your thinking, of your logic. When you use politics for decision making, it is mean that you can see and apply multiple dimension of everything. Multiple dimension, not single dimension. And in reality, nothing has a simple dimension. Nothing. At first, and at the basic part, yes, we know that everything has, for example, 3 dimensions. So in application, every human being action has multiple dimensions. You should consider those direction and those dimensions to have a good decision, an effective decision about that behavior. If it is not true and we cannot use and consider multiple dimension and multiple direction of human beings, so after that, your decision making is not a very mature decision making. It is immature. It is not very deep. It's not stable. You should change and change and change in different levels of decision making and in different levels of your daily life or your organizational level. So because of that, that politics is not an easy process for doing by the leaders and by the managers. A lot of people think that politics is not good. Employees negatively affected by politics tend to perceive politics as a bad influence. And employees whose interests are advanced by politics tend to view politics as a useful tool. So some part of your attitude about the politics is related to the usefulness or not to be useful for you. If politics is good for you, you think that it is good. You have good attitude about the politics. And if it is not good for you, you think, no, it is garbage, it's not good for me. Okay? Employees whose interests are advanced by politics. The politics of a company can help them to improve their interests, to achieve their personal goals or organizational goals or target in an organizational company. Okay, they said, politics is very good. It is complicated, I know, but it is good. So, on one side, views about the politics and attitudes about the politics is because of the culture, because your family, original family, your past life history, your previous experiences about the organization, about the leaders, about the managers. And on the other side, some part of your view about the politics is related to the role of politics that play in your life, in your organizational life, in your achievement, your goals, and other things. So combination of these two sides, these two areas, will have a total score of your view about the politics. Do you think good or do you think bad? Do you think effective or do you think not effective? Do you think positive or do you think negative about the politics? Organizational politics, what are the elements that affect the organizational politics? Culture, individual employees, social norms, economic situations. As you see, organizational politics are very, very, very under control of the different dimensions, external and internal. For example, the leadership style of a leader of a company has a very important effect on the politics of that company. The leadership style. Am I democratic leader? I'm a dictator leader. I'm a free leader. I'm a servant leader, and other types of leadership, as you know. Do I want to have some participation with my employees? Is empowerment is important for me as a leader in my company? These parts as the components, as the elements of my leadership styles is very important and has a good or bad, negative or positive effect on the organizational politics. If the leader changes, may the organizational politics change? Yes, but it is not organization. It's a family. It's a very small unit of gathering together for a shared meaning or shared goal. When you are talking about the organization, we're talking about the society, about the world, about the nation, about the companies, you should have some standards and values for this organization. It is the basic and scientific definition of system. If the leader change, the system change, it is not a system. It's a gathering. It's a personal gathering for achieving the goals of the leader. When the leader change, the organization not change basically at the basic parts, at the basic elements. If it change, it is not system. Why? Because system are a lot of different components working together, interact together to achieve a shared goal. Different components interact together, share goals. Each of them can change, the system will be changed. Why? Because if one person is working to himself or herself, is it system? No. System has a lot of components to interact. For example, if you go to a music orchestration and you see that every musician is playing his or her instrument by himself, by his notes, by his voice, by his noise, is it music? No. When it is called orchestration, when it is called masterpiece of music, when they are working by own self, but in harmonization with other musicians, it is orchestration. It's not noise, it is voice. Company and also real life is like that. Everybody is playing his or her instrument, but in harmonization with other people important around him or her. So think about the system theory of organization. It is very important for you, for your future approach to your company, to know about the system theory. System theory, it is not basic about the organization. It is about the live being, animal beings, very, very macroscopic beings, and also about the human beings. After that, we broadcast and spread the system theory, for example, overlap with the organizational theory. Basically, it is not about the organization, about the human beings. More likely to occur in ambiguous and uncertain environment, okay? Constructive politics are unnoticeable. What does it mean? Constructive politics, unnoticeable. Do we have destructive politics or constructive politics? Politics is like criticism and critics. We have constructive and destructive. As you know, you have studied about it in previous sessions about the conflict. We have constructive conflicts and destructive conflicts, okay? When you talk about the constructive politics are unnoticeable, what does it mean? Constructive politics? Politics that help an organization to construct and to reconstruct the organization elements to the new vision and new goals for the future. It is constructive politics. A workplace perceived as highly political creates great job anxiety, greater intention to leave, a lower job and supervision satisfaction, and lower organizational commitment, lower productivity, and more actual political behavior. Pay attention. When person live in a workplace as the employees, as the co-workers, even as managers and leaders, they perceive that this situation, this workplace is highly political. It's not about the reality, it's about the perception. Maybe when I look at the organization, observe the organization from outside the organization, I see and I say that, no, it is not highly political. It is normal political. But person they are working to the organization and in the organization at different level, they perceive that this organization, this workplace is highly political. It can create greater job anxiety, greater intentions to leave. The turnover of the organization will increase. Why? Because we think it's an anxious place to work. I don't have any sense of to be comfortable in this situation, in this organization. Lower job and supervisor satisfaction, lower organizational commitment. I don't love this organization because this is highly political, and lower productivity and more actual political behavior. If employees think they are in a political, they will engage in political behavior themselves. So we need an average level of political behavior in an organization. Causes of political behavior: conflict, uncertainty, scarcity of valued resources, inaction, going along to get ahead, and organizational policies that reward employees who engage in political behavior or punish those who don't. Conflict, as you know what is conflict. Uncertainty, if there are no clear rules, people make up themselves. If you as a leader or you as a leader or manager say to me, order to me, what, when, how should I do my job? You make up my behavior or my makeup by my own self. Is uncertainty. If I'm not sure, I'm not certain about the orders I can do or I should do in an organization, I will make up my responsibility and my duties in an organization by my own self. And after that, you as a leader, you as a manager can check me again and say, sorry, it is not the duty I want you to do. That's what I said. I haven't trained about it. I do it on my own way. So uncertainty is one of the major roots, major causes of producing political behaviors in an organization. And valued resources, if you don't have any valued resources in your organization, your personnel, your employees, even you as a manager or leader cannot find anything valuable resources as a valuable resource in your organization, we should have some political resources and political behaviors. Yes. Why? Because we are pretending that we are important, that we have valued resources. But in reality, we don't have any value resources. We are pretending, we are showing off that yes, we are so important, but in reality, we are not so important. Why? Because there is no value or there is no standard, good standard and highly recommended standard in this organization. In this organization, we are showing our sense of importance, but in reality, we are not so important. In action, going along to get ahead, and organizational policies. Political behavior can be reduced by formal rules and procedures. It is very clear job expectation, why and when and how I want you to do your job, or at least what I want you to do as your job. It is job expectations. Open communication, there is no fear to talk about the problems in an organization. Fear always close the door of relationship, close the door of interaction with other people if you are in a fearful situation with other people. If your mother, your father, your family members, your boss, your leader, your coworker, you cannot have a good open communication with them. So you need to have some politics about them. A manager who confronts poorly behaving employees, and manager who serves as a good role model. Yes, it's very important in an organization that manager, that leader, that manager in every level, high level management or mid level management or lower level management. Manager is a role model. If in a company managers are good role model, we don't need to have any political behavior. Why political behavior? Why we should know about the complicated relationship between the different people and different employees in an organization. And keeping the number of subordinates assigned to each manager at a reasonable level. And understanding the motivation and aspirations of subordinates. It's very important. In every type of human groups, human societies, as you know, family is a human group, a human society. Very small, that basic. If you know about the aspirations and motivations of other people around yourself, at first, at a good position, at a good attitude, you can handle and manage their mind, their feelings, and their actions, and also their results in life. At the bad position, you can manipulate. If you know what I want to, what I need, you can manipulate me. You can make me do something for you because of my own needs and my own motivation and my own goals and aspiration and wishes. Impression management, the process of portraying a desired image or attitude to control the impression others form of us. What does it mean? In revolutions, in political movements, you should know about the impression management. You want to impress other people's to do what you want and to act based upon your ideological principles or your worldview. You should have an impression management. Impression management is very near to charismatic management. You see that we have some good words here. We are talking about the desired image or attitude. Desired image or attitude. It's my image. It's not reality. But I can give your service to myself for creating and for converting my images to reality. After sometimes, after some years, after some weeks, we can see my image. Image is not only my image, it's the reality in the real world. Other people can see my images, can experience. For example, you know, when we are talking about the marketing and market making, we are talking about the market management, for example, by Steve Jobs. It was an image in the mind of Steve Jobs not to tap the cell phones, only touch the cell phones. But after, for example, 2 years, iPhone, iPad came to market, and it was not only an image. Because why? Because Steve Jobs has an impression management. Involves self-monitoring. It's very important for impressive manager. Having a high concern with other perception of us and adjusting our behavior to fit the situation. And tells elevated speaking pitch, speech errors and pauses, negative statements, and eye shifting, increased blinking and pupil dilation, founding and manipulating objects with hands, leg fidgeting, and using fewer gesture and keeping head still. This is the end of this session. In only about 2 hours, we talked about a lot of things. And I think that if you use these principles in your daily life, even not organizational life, in your daily life, family life, relationship life, love life, business life, if you can use only these simple principles of leadership, it can change your results of your life and also result your attitude to managing people, and most important of that, to self-management. Have a good time.